I started to get more respect when I found out that it wasn't a joke anymore, and someone was actually carving out a career through this stuff. Yeah. I remember Henry Rollins and Jello Biafra were massive fans of him. They were always talking about him, and like, I think he was. You'd see stuff like pictures of him with Dave Grohl and stuff like that. Your buddy, Dave Grohl.
What age was
what age was Wesley Willis? It's mad, right? So we'll talk a bit about his life, because it was, Jesus, I didn't realise it was this bad. But as a kid, he was in a household that was split up because of extreme domestic violence. The dad would literally be lighting the whole lot of them up, man, everything. Just
walk outside, throw digs.
Daily haymakers for breakfast. And that's just fucking...
What's your name? What? Womp.
Just horrible, yeah. So he got the family split up, and he got sent to live with his uncle for 10 years.
In Bel Air.
Until his uncle was arrested for molesting children.
Fucking hell, lads.
So you would surmise that maybe that could have possibly happened to Wesley as well. He spent 2 years in a foster home, and he moved back in with the dad. I don't think the dad I think it was...
Probably too big to get
I was going to say, about that stage, I'd say Wesley Willis was big enough to look after himself.
Yeah, so hit him back.
But what he would do is he wouldn't spend any time. He'd only sleep in the dad's.
Yeah.
And during the day, he would draw. He'd go to an art shop or somewhere in a park or something and draw. He was actually a really good artist. Some of the all the artwork you'll see on the Spotify thing is his. The real nightmare for him kind of started when he moved back in with his ma, because she had a sadistic boyfriend.
I was about to say that. I bet you the ma has a new fella who's a scumbag.
Yeah, even worse.
Yeah, of course.
Because he used to absolutely batter the kids, and he hated our kids, and he used to line them all up and sit them all down and make them all watch the parents having sex.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
And Mammy went along with this.
Of course she did.
So fuck Mammy as well.
Yeah, fuck her. He like I said, he kept drawing all day, every day like this, and he started to actually sell his drawings, because if you look at them, they're actually, the perspective on them is brilliant. Like he gets that whole like up into the distance. He draws he just drew Chicago cityscapes, because he'd be on a park bench looking at it going, I'm just going to draw that. He saved up $100 by selling the drawings, and one night the stepdad or the mother's boyfriend, whatever, Roger Lee Carpenter, came in and held a gun to Wesley Willis's head and said, give me that £100. Took the £100 and legged it. And that was around that time is when he started hearing voices, because that's probably, he probably had enough. His brain probably was, there's no drugs involved in this story at all.
Yeah, the brain just went, let's escape.
Let's escape. Yeah. You whatever about drugs, I'm sure getting out of reality involves getting out of your own brain sometimes, and then finding your way back into it is probably going to be a problem. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia in 1989. This is where the story starts getting a little bit better, but still has a few snags. He started going to this art shop called Zenith, I think it was, and they would let him stay there. They loved him. They just loved his characters. They knew he was troubled, whatever like that, but they'd let him stay there drawing pictures all day. And he'd sell. They'd allow him to sell. People would walk up and go, "Oh, what's that?" They let him to sell the stuff in the shop.
Very cool.
In 1991, though, he was coming home off a bus, and someone with a box cutter ran up and just had a go at his face.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ!
That is my nightmare. One of my nightmares: acid or Stanley Blade.
Fuck yeah, that's one of the things that haunts me as well.
Yeah. So it's not. It wasn't. It was bad, but it was down one side of his face, from his eyelid down to his neck or something like that.
Fucking hell!
And that's why he decided. He started a band with the people that worked in the music shop with him, called Wesley Willis and the Fiasco, and his first song was about being sliced open.
Yeah.
The problem was he was living with this other guy who was a bit of a weirdo, and he'd be dragging Wesley Willis to sex shows and stuff like that. Now, because Wesley Willis had been dragged to sex shows all his fucking life in his own gaff, he was like, I hate this, I'm not into this, or whatever. So the girl in the art shop took him in. The medication would kind of work sometimes for him. They said that it worked sometimes, but when he went on a bus, he couldn't. It didn't work at all. The voices would start shouting at him, and he'd start screaming back at the voices till he got kicked off the bus.
Fucking hell.
So this was a real problem when he got Wesley Willis and the Fiasco got a call. They wanted to get them to play in San Diego.
We're meant to be funny, by the way. This is meant to be a funny podcast.
Well, this is the harshest story of them all. Possibly one of the harshest stories of them all. But it has to be done.
This is big lurch level fucking grimness.
Yeah. So he could never get on buses. He'd always have to walk basically the rest
of the way. I feel
his
pain, to be honest.
Yeah. So sometimes I scream at the
I hear voices when I'm on a fucking bus as well. Like,
So what happened was he had to get on a plane to fly to San Diego, and his mates were like, "This
may
can't
not
kick him off the plane.
Yeah.
This could go really, really wrong." Apparently, absolutely loves the plane.
Really?
All the people on the plane were his buddies, mates and all that. The pilot let him up into the cockpit and he had the time of his absolute life. So thank fuck for that. He wrote 15 albums before signing with Rick Rubin's America label.
Fuck.
Rick Rubin's America label. He has a permanent bruise. He had a permanent bruise because, we'll talk about that in a minute, on the top of his head for when he would, instead of shaking hands with his audience, they'd bump his head, like a little headbutt. Sometimes pretty hard, whatever, like that. You can see it in some of the videos. But he'd greet everyone all day, every day, like 10 people waiting to bump him on the head. Constant bruise like that, and a scar down his fucking face. A lot of people think that he was exploited by record labels who were selling his music. But to be honest with you, he went on Howard Stern and he was talking about, if he didn't do that, the demons would get him.
Yeah. That kept him going, kept him busy.
And he did make money and people gave him his money. So,
is he still around?
No, he died in 2003 of complications due to cancer. He always... Actually, do you know what? Can I play some of his stuff?
Yeah, go on.
I want to do this, right? I wonder, can you guess the bands he's talking about? Most of the songs were about bands he saw.
Okay.
So, this is when I found out about him, because I typed in "Stabbing Westward" to LimeWire or one of them fucking...
Yeah. Soul Seeker, fucking whatever.
And it came up "Stabbing Westward," Wesley Willis, and I was like, "Do they have a song called Wesley Willis?" Like, no, he has a song about them.
Okay.
And they all start the exact same. So I'm gonna see if you can guess who he's talking about. All songs start like this. Okay. You ready? Just Fugazi.
That's the song.
That's all of the songs. Every single one of them will go in that order.
Yeah.
And he finishes with "Rock Over London, Rock On Chicago." See if you can guess who. You'll never guess who he went to see. They all. Bolt Thrower. He has a whole album dedicated to the bands he went to see.
Yeah.
Morbid Angel, KMFDM, Liz Phair, Jefferson Airplane. They're all quite most of the songs are upbeat and celebrating stuff, except he fucking hates Batman.
He hates Batman.
Hates him. Said that one day he's convinced he battered Batman.
Okay.
Bet him around.
All right.
So yeah.
Wow.
Listen, check out Wesley Willis. Fucking
wow.
Rock Over London, Rock On Chicago. Who's your next one?
Oh, hang on, I'm still dealing with that hates Batman thing.
I could yawn so much more about Wesley Willis. We're stuck for time.
I had to yawn that Batman out me.
Yeah.
Santana.
Is he fucking mad? I never knew much about
mental.
Santana.
I didn't know he was.
I didn't know he was
mental. Now I don't know whether it's like mental illness, or just straight
eccentric.
Mental. Yeah, I don't know.
Because we actually remember we started this podcast as just eccentric people.
Yeah.
And then it became apparent that there was reasons that most of the people were eccentric, and we went, okay, we'll have to be serious about this.
So this song's called Soul Sacrifice. That was his first album.
Did he have his face cut with a box cutter?
No. You don't think...
Are we back to a happy story?
He's an ugly bastard, so I don't think he might have improved him. Santana... How do you even... Like, I'll be honest with you, I hadn't a fuck clue who Santana was until that Rob Thomas song, right? It just wasn't...
Did you not know Black Magic Woman?
I probably heard it, but I didn't know it was him, you know what I mean? Like
our parents wouldn't have talked about Santana.
No.
Fancy parents, maybe.
I don't know.
Oh, a little bit of Santana now with a glass of Prosecco.
I don't even know what type of fucking music it is,
When did Prosecco come out? Like 10 years ago?
It's brand new.
Brand new?
That and blueberries. Yeah, it's brand new.
Blueberries in Prosecco.
Exactly, that's the thing.
Asking for that at the bar. Imagine. Go on.
Fucking hell. So he sold over 100 million albums and won over 10 Grammys, right? So like, he's fucking huge.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was fucking huge. I didn't know he was that big.
But first of all, if you've heard of him slightly and it's a Latino name, he's already minted.
Yeah.
So, cause Like,
Okay,
you can live solely in that.
Oh
in
yeah,
that,
100%. So first of all, his little like his special type of madness, he calls divine mischief, right?
Right.
So a couple of years ago, it's 1994. Right, I think he's probably into like mescaline and acid and weed, the usual shite that everybody's into, right? I don't know how mad he went on it. I couldn't tell you, but I can tell you that in 1994,
we're allowed to laugh at this one because it's not real mental illness. He's just eccentric. We're allowed to laugh at this one. Am I right?
When I fucking read this one, oh my god! So in 1994, I think he calls like a press conference. And he tells everybody that he's not Carlos Santana anymore, that he's not bound to DNA anymore, and that his
body would fall apart.
That he'd
disintegrate.
He's been taken over by an archangel called Metatron.
Okay, hang on a second. Now we are just laughing at mental illness. That doesn't sound right.
Right. Now it gets better. So, he's been taken over by an archangel called Metatron, who heals people via spiritual radio. All right, so
spiritual radio. Speaking of spiritual radio, shout out to Neil Peart who died.
Yeah. So Metatron tells him he has to command everybody's molecules, and he has to command everybody's molecules via radio waves, so the kids could finally hear good music. So Metatron takes him over, and tells him to get in contact with all the biggest names in music to put together a super album.
Oh my god, is this the Supernatural?
This is Supernatural.
Oh, this is recent.
Yeah.
Well, that's not recent. That's like years ago. But it's actually his like, it's like the layer in his career.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
So Metatron works through him, and they create Supernatural with all these pop stars, you know, so Lauryn Hill, Rob Thomas, CeeLo Green, Everlast, Eric Clapton, the album sells 30 million copies. But
Metatron was right.
Meta-fucking-tron. So Metatron's whole thing is that Metatron exists in molecular radio. So this is Santana just pulling shit out of his hole, right? He's just literally gluing words together and to see if it sounds good. So it's like a molecular radio that commands the DNA of the listeners, controlled by Metatron, who is me, but he is in everybody.
How come it didn't work on us? Because it's Score.
Because it's fucking noise. I don't know. Listen, there's loads more little silly stories about Santana, just being Santana. But I just want to leave. I want that Metatron underlined with an exclamation at the end of it. And I'm going to leave it at that.
Jesus.
But just when I was reading about commanding people via molecular spiritual radio and him not being bound to DNA anymore because he's like held together via radio waves. So his body is in the shape of Metatron, but he has no blood or organs or anything like that or DNA. He is literally a living embodiment of radio waves. Therefore, he's going to put out this album that brings all the kids back to real guitar music.
You know what though, right? You can't hold that against him because whatever happened, it worked. So therefore, he might be right. Maybe it was.
He's put out a load of albums after that, and they're all fucking shite as well. So
he needs to get back in contact with Megatron.
Well, apparently he still has Metatron inside him. Like,
no, he's gone to Kanye West.
Probably Metatron took over.
He moves around. Yeah.
Right. Anyway, who's your next one?
You only get one album with him. You make it good.
Yeah.
Radiohead had OK Computer with him.
Yeah, exactly. Metatron took over.
When do I get a go with him?
Send Metatron my way, but yeah. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Who's your next one?
My next one is Daniel Johnston, who also died recently, just before the end of last year. The song is True Love Will Find You in the End. It's an obvious choice for Daniel Johnston, but it is his most famous song for a reason. One of my favourite songs of all time. From the album 1990, from the year 1990 as well. True Love Will Find You in the End is just one of the most beautiful, simple love songs that's ever been written. Just, you'll never get it more simple and sort of, it's equally sad and happy. It's probably the most perfect love song. It is. So he was born in California and he grew up in an extremely religious household. It was a happy enough life. You can tell by looking at the documentaries. There's a few documentaries I've watched on him over the years that it's nothing like Wesley Willis now.
Yeah.
Getting like all that crack.
Yeah.
But he did have his mother kind of shouting at him an awful lot. He used to tape every conversation that he'd have with his mother like that, and like, he's full of tapes with him